The way that we actually very quickly overturned that assumption was by actually having a ton of user conversations, understanding what people are doing and why. Not only are they running a lot more synchronous calls, but they enjoy it much more and they do it much more because they want to understand why. Why is my user not understanding the prototype? How should I change the solution? And it was moments like that of clarity that were overturning some of our core assumptions, making us change the prototypes that otherwise would have gone into production and, taken months to actually re-engineer.
Hey folks, welcome to Cheque Portfolio Shots. My name is Tejas and this is a series where we speak to founders of our portfolio companies so that you get to know the team, understand what they're building and the problem they're trying to solve. If you like the content that we've been putting out, do like, share and subscribe so that we get to reach more founders and startup enthusiasts like you. Today's very special guest is Kritika co-founder of Looppanel. Looppanel helps PMs and designers build better products by enabling them to rapidly test assumptions and prototypes with their customers. The product directly plugs into Zoom calls. It records, transcribes, and supports real-time note-taking for them. You can find the answers to any question you ask in one place and share video clips of the key moments from a user call with a single click. I had a really interesting conversation with Kritika, and it was really great to learn about their culture and their plans for the future. Stick around till the end of the episode to learn more.
Hi Kritika, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Tejas. How are you?
I am great too. It's great to have you here, Kritika. And let's get started. So, could you please tell me what Looppanel is?
Sure. So I'll start with overall context. Looppanel helps PMs and designers rapidly test their assumptions and prototypes with their own customers before even a single line of code is written. The goal is to help teams build products their users actually love without wasting a ton of engineering resources and time building the wrong thing.
Awesome. So, can you tell me about the problem you're trying to solve as the founder of Looppanel?
Yeah, I'll actually tell a little bit of a story to give you some context on that. So I'll take you back a couple of years. Before Akash, my co-founder, and I started Looppanel, we were working at a data startup called Atlin. I actually believe they've recently announced a $50 million Series B, but this is back in the day when it was a small core team answering some really fundamental questions. What are we building? Who is it for? How do we sell it to them? Now, there are two ways you can approach that situation or set of questions, right? Number one is to make a set of assumptions, build something and hope for the best. But 80% of the time, product teams are building features nobody wants. And so Prakalpa and Varun, being second-time founders, they knew to take a different approach. We were talking to hundreds of potential users to test our assumptions and validate solutions before putting anything into production. And so we embarked on this really exciting mission, right? We were talking to hundreds of potential users, mapping out their needs, pain points, tool stacks, and take a guess at what we had at the end of it. We didn't have an answer. Instead, in a post-COVID world, we had a pile of data. We had recordings, transcripts, notes for 150 conversations. And it was my great job to figure out what that actually meant. And so spending days manually cataloging in Excel every single conversation just so we could get to a clear insight. That's when Akash and I realized there has to be a better way. And we started building Looppanel so product managers and designers faced with that exact same situation, trying to test and validate their assumptions, are able to go from Zoom conversation to crystal clear, shareable insight in minutes. And so we bring all your data to one place, notes, transcripts, videos, and actually help you tie them to the key question you set out to answer. What tool stacks do my SMBs use? What's the biggest pain point for enterprise customers? Who has been requesting Slack integrations? In a world where users will abandon your website in 15 seconds, You cannot afford any longer to be making product and design decisions based on guesswork. And that's really what we're trying to solve with Loop.
Amazing, Kritika. Amazing. Simply amazing. So, my next question for you is, what has been your progress so far? What are you guys presently working on, and how has it been?
Yeah, that's a great question. We are currently in early access with some incredible global companies. Teams like PandaDoc, 15Five, Gatsby are actively using our product. And we stay very, very close to our customers, right? So everyone's on Slack. We're testing our concepts, assumptions, prototypes, just like I said, directly with them so that we're building features and solutions that actually are magical. That's on the product and customer side to give you a sense. And as we iterate with these customers on the team side, we're internally looking to grow and build the team, hiring lots of folks on, everything from product design to content creation, so we can continue to iterate on the product as well as expand into our primary markets in the US and EU more effectively.
That's awesome, Kritika. So, can you tell me how you met your co-founders and how has your journey been so far?
Sure. This is actually maybe a quick story because Akash and I both used to work at Atlin, and we were both part of that journey, actually moving from Social Corps, which was this existing really successful social enterprise, pivoting into Atlin, which is this all new company that everyone was trying to figure out what are we building and who is it for. Akash was on the product side of things. So he was in the Social Corps days, he built one of the most accurate databases of Indian geography. So actually mapping pin code to village to city to town, that's used by the Prime Minister's office, and eventually was running R&D to help understand how should data actually be organized, stored, shared inside enterprises. And I was on the go-to-market side. I was, like I said, answering a lot of these fundamental questions, closing the first set of deals at Atlin. And really, both of us were working a lot of that 0 to 1 while we were figuring out what Atlin even is.
Awesome, Kritika. So, can you tell me about the work culture at Looppanel?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm so glad you asked that because culture is one of the most important things to both Akash and I. I think we fundamentally aligned on some of the core tenets very, very quickly and we're always on the same page, which was great. There are two kinds of companies, right? Or I guess a spectrum. There's the traditional top-down hierarchy. You have to be very professional. And then there's what we are trying to do at Loop, which is the opposite end of that. So think, instead of it all being top-down, we try to make everyone in the team have a very open voice, question all our assumptions, question the founders on, even statements we're coming up with, priorities we think should happen. It's everyone's job in the team to be thinking and to be ideating. The reason is we think that smart people put together more heads result in better solutions. And so we really want everyone to be bringing that, questioning attitude to the table. The other part of it is we also want to make sure that everyone is taking care of themselves. They're open, authentic, they're empathetic with each other. And so those are some of our core values. What that means is you don't have to be your quote professional self. If you are feeling tired one day and you just need your video to be off and stand up, it's fine. Everything to something that small to we actually have benefits that are geared specifically to mental and physical health. So we will pay you to take care of yourself because we care about you as a person more than just a cog in the wheel. And so those are some of the things we care most about, as well as enabling people to take ownership and really own their part of whatever they're building, whether it's code to customer relationships to content. And finally, we just want everyone to have fun. So we bring in things like game nights to GIF wars, which is a thing we do in Slack, and we all post a GIF, our favorite GIF on a specific topic. And we try to bring that energy and joy, especially in a remote world, can be really hard, and make sure that we're still bringing that humanity and building those relationships as we build the company.
Amazing, Kritika. Working at Looppanel sounds really, really amazing. Yeah. So moving on, my next question for you is, so every startup founder has this real moment in their lives when when they just stand still and feel that they're building something very, very cool. And I'm sure you've had that moment. Can you tell me about that particular moment?
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I actually think it's almost like a series of moments. And I think it actually comes down to what I said around assumption testing. So early on, when we first hit on this problem, it started with a tactical issue, right? It was like, this is so painful. This should not be how we're trying to extract data from conversations. It shouldn't feel like that. It should be easy to answer questions based on this entire set of information we have. But really, when it started to click is when it started to answer some key questions for ourselves, when our own assumptions were being overturned by the insights generated by Loop. And just seeing the ability of the team to align on some of those was incredible. So I'll give you a very concrete example. And this may go very specific, but there are really two types of user calls people do, right? They either do moderated, that is synchronous, which is the most common type, or they do something that's asynchronous. I'll send you a link, you'll like click through some prototypes. And Akash, for example, had an assumption that unmoderated is much, much more frequent than moderated. And so that will be a bigger, chunk of the market today, etc. The way that we actually very quickly overturned that assumption was by actually having a ton of user conversations, understanding what people are doing and why. Not only are they running a lot more synchronous calls, but they enjoy it much more and they do it much more because they want to understand why. Why is my user not understanding the prototype? How should I change the solution? And it was moments like that of clarity that were overturning some of our core assumptions, making us change the prototypes that otherwise would have gone into production and taken months to actually re-engineer. That was when I think we were just most excited by the possibility here. We fundamentally think you can rethink product development with what we're building at Looppanel.
Awesome, Kritika. I'm sure Looppanel is going to do amazing in the future. It was really, really nice talking to you today. And I hope you had a good time too.
I had a great time. You were very nice. You said everything I said was amazing, which is great. But yeah, I had a great time. Thank you so much, Tejas, for taking the time.
Thank you, Kritika.